news for people interested in that domain. And then you see in science and technology doing almost as well in relative terms with a 4% increase. And I call out in particular microelectronics, AI, and leveraging some 5G technologies. Again, these are just examples. We could talk for an hour just on where the Department of Defense is going by way of direction with particular technologies, but we don't have time to do that today. But take away from this that DoD is investing more in its future than it is in its present day technologies. Next. So this is here's a point I want to drive home. So this is an example for the Army. I'm calling out the Army in particular for a couple of reasons. One, because it tells an interesting story. Two, because it's the biggest service out there by way of head count, and a lot of your technologies, if not most all of them, will be in the Army at some point. It will find its way into the Army at some point in time. And I just want to call your attention to the bar chart there at the bottom. So that represents a trend from fiscal year 17 to fiscal year 22. And it's flat. And even when you get out here to 21 and 22, there's even a decrease. That's not good news. Some would think that a flat budget is good news because it doesn't have the negative slope except for this year and next. And you might argue that it's not all that great. I would argue the opposite, that the cumulative effects of inflation, not to mention what's not completely captured by inflation in terms of the cost of raw materials, spare parts, and the like, makes this for a very difficult environment for the decision makers. And so the Army, probably more than any other service, I believe, is having to make some very hard decisions on what it is they want to keep, what they want to reprogram, or what they want to outright eliminate. A lot of hard decisions there, and a lot of times there's some good technologies that they're just having to wait just out of a sense of prioritization. Next. So this is an important slide if you're in this for the long game. Because a lot of people don't, I think many of us don't understand what the budget cycles really mean in terms of what how it takes you to the long view. So there are three terms of art here. You have a budget year of execution, you have year of execution, then the budget year, then the future years. So the year of execution for us, I'm going to go ahead and call it FY22 because that starts October 1st. The budget year is the following fiscal year, FY23, and then future years is FY24 and beyond. Now let's go back up top to the year of execution. So that's going from October 1st to September 30th of next year. That budget was submitted back in the spring of this year. It's been through the meat grinder of Congress. It's been through the oversight committees. And that's probably another 1 hour class in and of itself, what those oversight committees are, authorizations versus appropriations, one in each chamber, etc. But the budget gets submitted in the spring, it gets marked, meaning the puts and takes are discussed. There are winners, there are losers, and that that budget has now come out of committee and it's awaiting vote within each chamber. Now, as a for instance, at least in the House, the Authorization Act has come out of the House Armed Services Committee, and the Rules Committee has approved voting on something like 600 plus amendments. So following this stuff is not trivial. It's not going to be passed by October 1st, by next week for the new budget year. So you'll be hearing about that if you haven't already. There'll be something called a continuing resolution. The one they're talking about is going to take us up until December. Whether or not it gets extended beyond that is anybody's guess at this point. But there's a real food fight going on in the halls of Congress about the budget and about things that are being tacked onto the budget, poison pills and the like. So when you hear about that, and you will here in the next couple of weeks, know that it's not easy. And relevant to you, if a budget is in a continuing resolution, the rules are that you can't have any new starts. So if it's a brand new program that was going to start in FY22, it's going to wait unless the FY22 budget is passed. Now let's get to the budget year. So that's going to start October of 22. So that's going to start a year from now and extend essentially till 2 years from now. The point I want to make with this is that budget is due to Congress on the first Monday of February 2022. Budgets are always due first Monday of February of any given fiscal year, prior to the fiscal year. So what that means, bullet 3 there, is that that budget is being assembled as we speak. Putting a DoD budget together is no trivial matter. So we're here in October. They're furiously putting together the FY23 budget. And I say there that it's going to be mostly complete by the holiday breaks of this year. So somewhere around December, late November or December, Department of Defense Comptroller is pretty much going to be putting a bow around this thing, making some changes on the margin, and otherwise getting it ready to submit to the Office of Management and Budget so it can be compiled with the other federal departments. So I hope you're taking the hint here is that time gets away from us really fast when we think we can be of influence sooner than we really can. So that takes us to the future years, FY24 and beyond. So if you accept the proposition that the budget for fiscal 23 is pretty much baked, and it is, nothing's impossible, but pretty much it is, then my statement down there that it may well be that your first solid opportunity to influence something to be placed within the budget as its own line item is going to be the fall of 23 for inclusion in the FY24 budget. So time gets away. When I talk about the long view, I really do mean the long view. And so strategic patience is in order here. Next. Now, there are other ways. So we're spending our day-to-day, most of our day-to-day, talking about SBIRs. SBIRs are wonderful, but they're certainly not the only way for Department of Defense to get its hands on your great ideas and your great innovations. And I just listed 2 of them here. There are others. Phil may want to talk more about what he mentioned earlier, something called a CRADA, and there are others, but these are 2 that you probably would see the most of, other transaction authorities. Let me go back to the line there, that acquisition reforms and an increased awareness of agility in the procurement system within DoD has gotten a lot of attention in the last couple of years. And I would tell you that they really have made some progress. That they have a long way to go. They certainly can't turn on a dime. And they do have a board of directors of 535, but with all of those constraints, they have made progress. So you have these things called other transaction authorities, and I've been able to quarterback 3 companies through an OTA, and they really do, they behave as advertised. They're administered through what we call consortiums, which is a private enterprise, if you will, that's contracted by DoD to undertake all of the administration of a particular solicitation. So they'll wordsmith it, they'll edit, they'll publish it, they'll collect all the submissions, et cetera, et cetera. It's a quick turnaround from announcement to awards. And by that, I mean, the cycle can be as rapid as 6 to 8 months, with only about 3 steps between the initial announcement and the award. So the ones that I have quarterbacked have kind of gone like this. The announcement comes out. They'll ask for a 3-page white paper, not to exceed 3 pages, describing your technology. They'll want that within 45 days or so. At the end of that 45 days, they'll take another 45 to 60 days to come back with those that they have selected for further review. And for those that they select for further review, they ask for a 10-page white paper. A little more detail and basically a little more cost analysis. But these are, you're still talking in big numbers. Nobody will necessarily hold you to those just yet.
Ron, I think that's going to be those OTAs. We'll come back to that. I think that's a great way to maybe transition into Randy's session. And I see BAAs is next on the table. I think Lyle had one question. Now we're going to hold off questions until the very end. We've got so much to cover. Ron, thank you so much for what you've offered. We're going to do a quick transition here. I think Randy, you're going to drive your slides, I believe.
Yes.
And then to all of our attendees, again, this is the first of multiple sessions. In the chat, you'll find my contact information. Email it, my LinkedIn. If you have any questions for me, you want to have a dialogue, connect by LinkedIn. And please communicate with Krista, the FFV team, on any opportunities you want to pursue. And between Ron, Randy, myself, we'll team up and we'll help you get moving forward. Randy, you want to kick it off now?
All right. Thank you very much, Phil and Ron, for all that you've contributed already. Appreciate that. I look forward to making some presentation here, and hopefully you'll find some things of value within what I'm doing here. Let me introduce our company briefly. We're in Blacksburg, Virginia, as was said. Bob Fielder formed the company in 2009. We have a number of program managers that are used to help small businesses commercialize their technology and also submit proposals to the SBIR. We also have a team of researchers. We're up to about 12 employees now and continue to hire. We have 300 clients in 37 states. Our goal is to help small businesses identify opportunities for the technology that they have developed, find funding, typically non-dilutive funding from the SBIR program, and establish those kind of partnerships that allow them to move forward and build revenue streams out of their technology. We span the STEM spectrum, as you can see there, in a lot of different areas. The 2 major things that we provide are technology transition to help small businesses who have SBIR projects transition that technology out of an SBIR project into a revenue producing opportunity with a large contractor, with the federal government, or with other businesses. And we typically do that using federal funds, which I'll talk about later. We also have a branch that works in proposal development, where we work with small businesses to help them submit phase one proposals. Our win rate is really quite astronomical, and I believe that's due to a couple things. One is we really work with small businesses and in many cases talk them out of bidding if we do not believe they're ready and prepared and understand the topic and have talked to the topic author and so forth. So we end up turning away a lot of work, but in the sense of turning it away, what I mean is we talk with the small business and counsel them on how to be prepared for the next round. You know, you're not prepared now. We don't believe this would be a good time for you to invest your money in proposal development. We think you should wait to the next round. So that's one thing we do in proposal development that I think really helps our small business clients. So we do vet opportunities with small businesses. There's no cost for doing that. We talk with small businesses at some time about their interest in a particular topic and whether we feel that they have a good chance of winning that topic or not. And also the technology transition is typically government funded, which is interesting because it comes out of the SBIR program through a program called Technical and Business Assistance, which I'll get into a little bit later. This is my bio. Both Phil and I are NC State, and we actually graduated in the same year, although for some reason we don't remember each other. And I've worked for a lot of aerospace companies. I'm still doing aerospace engineering today. In a sense, it's a whole lot of fun, and yes, go back. So here's a lot of convenient SBIR STTR links. This handout will be given to you. These are live hot links that you can go and look at all these different agencies that have SBIR solicitations, and you'll be able to click on that and go learn information. Now, I know websites addresses have a short shelf life, so forgive me if you click on something and end up somewhere else, but that's the goal anyway. So is this program really beneficial to small business? Does it help? Well, let's come up with some success stories. To date, the program has resulted in over 70,000 issued patents. That's a lot of technology. Building almost 700 public companies and 41 billion in venture capital investments that have been teed off by the SBIR, which is Small Business Innovative Research, and STTR, Small Business Technology Transfer Programs out of the federal government. This is a successful program. It's reauthorized through 2022, and I suspect it'll be reauthorized after that as well. Here's a local success story. Sonova Tech, there in Raleigh, builds a microwave food processor. This microwave food processor had its technology advanced through the SBIR program, through SBIR funding. Their technology is called Pneumatic, the processing system. It has a significant impact on the lives of young children in sub-Saharan Africa, where as a result of this technology, they're able to take locally available sweet potatoes and process them such that they're going to have food for their people for a long period of time. It's a small scale, high quality processing system. And the problem had been that processing systems up until this point had always been huge and very, very expensive. And Sonova Tech, through this USDA SBIR, was able to shrink this thing down, as you can see the picture there, and provide this in a way that businesses could use this in sub-Saharan Africa and really help people. And interestingly enough, Sonova Tech, I did not know this, is a tech op client. I just found out. We're working with them on a USDA phase 2 right now. So why not you? There's no reason. There's no reason your company can't have your name there. Some agency that you're working with, your company can do this. You need to understand the benefit of SBIR STTR funding, which has been covered a lot in the earlier sessions. It is non-diluted. That means that they don't want a piece of your company. It does achieve a lot of non-competitive opportunities. That was mentioned earlier too, but if you missed that, please get with Phil or I and we can explain that. And the relationships. This is important. Who you know and who they know, you need to build these business relationships, but your company can do that. So let's say you believe me, then you say, all right, how are we going to start? Well, eligibility was discussed earlier. Remember, Brittany Sickler talked about this from SBA. Here's a link that you can go to, basically less than 500 people in your company and located in the United States and so forth. So please go back and look at hers and you'll see that. I do believe one of the key things that you need to do is define yourself in DoD terminology. What are some of the key words that can be used to search for funding? Where do you excel? Where do your customers say, wow, you guys are so great here? Where do you do that? What are your strategic goals as a company? Now, I don't mean financial. We want to be, $1 million company and be floating in the Caribbean. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about technology. What are your goals technology-wise? And are you staffed to achieve these goals, or are you going to need to partner with someone? There's nothing wrong with partnerships, but some things you need to think about. Are you published? Are you active in industry groups? How do customers learn about you? People that could potentially use your technology, how do they find out about you? Are you outgoing towards building those business relationships, or you need to get some help? But I really think you've got to work to define yourself. One of the things that we do for small businesses, not just our clients, but any small business nationwide, help connect the dots between your core competencies and SBIR topics. And we do this for free. You just send me a list of your core competencies. And whenever the new topics come out in the 22.1 round, we will go and connect those dots for you and say, here's 4 topics that have 15 or 20 matches to your keywords. So we are more than happy to do that to sustain the small business community. You need to find a home. There's lots of different agencies involved in the Small Business Innovative Research Program, but you need to research these and find out who does what you do. Find a group, find a person, reach out and connect, because a proposal from someone who is known is going to have a much better chance of being awarded than a proposal from an unknown. So it is important to do that. Now, here is a little chart. And once again, you'll get these slides, and each of these things are hot. They're live. You can go through here. And these are steps that you need to take in working from where you are today: eligibility, how to get proposals, what are the requirements, identify opportunities, locate the opportunities, and so forth. This will walk you through that. So once these slides are distributed, you should be able to take this slide and actually work your way through getting into the SBIR CTR program. Well, let's say you've decided to bid on a proposal. What are some of the foundational beliefs and knowledge that you have to have? This is one of the key ones to me, and applies to all proposals, doesn't matter whether it's DOD or NIH or anywhere else. I am pretty much convinced that proposals are not read cover to cover. I mean, people do not print out 5 copies of these proposals they got that are 20 pages from 15 different companies and go sit on the back deck with a glass of wine and enjoy them. They don't do that. They have to evaluate them. And the evaluators are not professional. There's no professional evaluator in the federal government. I've looked it up, and there is no such job title. These people were in the wrong place at the wrong time and got yanked in on this team, and they have to do evaluation in addition to their day job. So it is tough. It is really tough. And a proposal has to be evaluated. If you can put yourselves in their shoes, what you're going to do is evaluate these proposals. You're not going to read every single word. So I think it's really important that you make it easy for the evaluator to find the criteria in your proposal. Compliance is the first gate. If you submit a proposal and your margins are wrong, then that GS1 or whoever is going to take your proposal and put it in the reject pile, and the proposal evaluation team is going to applaud because that's one less they've got to evaluate. Make sure you're compliant, follow the instructions precisely. And then I think this is just a real key. How does your solution impact the end user? What is compelling about your offer to an end user? This is really, really important. But the key takeaway, proposals are evaluated. Now, how are they scored? They start with the phase 1 evaluation criteria, section 6 of the BART agency announcement. And this defines how the scoring is allocated to each criteria. So imagine yourself scoring a proposal using these criteria. How would you approach it? What's a reasonable approach? It's difficult on this evaluator because some of the terms that are used are a sound and innovative approach. Well, what is sound? What does that mean? Well, in your proposal, I'm convinced that you're going to score well if you write a sentence that says, our solution is sound because. Our solution is innovative because. Imagine that evaluator. Oh, there, that's what I was looking for. So help them. Write your section so the criteria are easily found. Make it easy on the evaluator. You don't want to make them angry. The proposal life cycle, this is what I have made up as a typical life cycle from the time that you do pre-solicitation marketing until the topics are released. Typically 60 days from there is when you need to submit. And then if you submit, I think you should have a party because it's tough just getting a proposal in, right? And get a lessons learned meeting. It's a multi-step process. We coach our small business clients through this in a course of 6 to 8 weeks. and have achieved quite a good success rate by doing it. But you need to realize what you're signing up for when you do this. It's going to be challenging. DoD is unique. They're different than NIH. They're certainly different than NSF. They're typically looking for a solution to an operational challenge. Often the topic genesis is from a soldier's need in the field. Sometimes the topic author knows that soldier need very well firsthand. Sometimes the topic author is merely documenting the soldier's need and doing the administrative part of the SBIR work. But nevertheless, they're looking for a solution. That's what's really important to understand. And you need to understand how your solution is going to benefit that soldier in the field. If it's an Army, how's it going to benefit the foot soldier in the field? The DoD typically does not consume the solution first person. That is to say that you as a small business will typically not be selling to the Navy or to the Army. You're more likely to sell through a prime contractor supply chain somewhere. So as you're looking through this, it's important to identify who is my customer, who am I going to sell to? However, realize that the DoD is going to establish the requirements and they're going to select the SBIR winner. There are typically 3 cycles annually from DoD, what we call the .1, .2, and .3 cycles. And this is the time when the topics are released, when the proposals are open for submission, and when the proposals close. And these cycles, as you can see, take up much of the year. They take up much of your holiday, they take up much of your vacation, they take up much of the year. So, but there are 3 cycles out there. The .1 is typically the larger cycle. The .3 cycle we're in right now, and it typically is the smaller of the cycles.
Randy, I'm going to jump in.
Yes.
Let me jump in just for a moment, just as a time check. We got about 8 more minutes left. Let me just say, does anyone any participant have any questions? Please send them in to Krista. And I only saw one question. We can always respond by email or follow up and get you an answer back. So Randy, you want to maybe kind of wrap up a little bit, or let's see if
I will. There's only 2 more slides in here. Commercialization is what the SBIR program is all about. And it's the only reason you're interested, probably, as a small business, is to get to that commercialization. So the bottom line to commercialization is this is tough. It's fun going in the lab. It's fun getting in MATLAB and writing scripts and doing all this kind of business and doing your R&D. All that's a lot of fun to engineers. I know I am. But if you're not going to make money, you're not going to be there for long, right? So you need to make money. You need to sell your product, and you need to have a commercial product out of it. You have a product that you're selling somewhere. So commercialization is really important. The first place to find out a commercialization is from the topic author, because typically a topic author is going to tell you who's going to consume this solution. And you need to ask these kind of questions of the topic author. Then you need to do your own market research. Are there civilian markets out of the DoD problem that I could grow into? Are they growing? Who are the principals as companies operating in these markets? Reach out and build those relationships so that you can take what you're developing for the Army and go over here and sell it to Tesla or somebody else. And then how are you going to make money after phase 2? How is your technology going to progress maturity-wide? Are you going to be at the end of phase 2 sufficient to be able to sell something or license technology to somebody in the supply chain? Are you going to do contract manufacturing? Are you going to host software on your site or on Amazon Web? Or you need to understand all these types of things. And this is a type of thing that Taba, which I'm going to discuss in just a second, will help you with. So your overall strategy, understand the vision from the topic author, get yourself a transition partner, because you're typically not going to sell to the Army, so to speak. And your end game is monetization. How are you going to make money? So the federal government, fortunately, does recognize that many small businesses are technology-based firms, and they are not real strong when it comes to getting out there and selling and trying to find commercial markets. Therefore, the federal government has begun to fund what they call technical and business assistance, Taba. In most all the agencies, they will add another $6,500 to your phase 1 budget to allow you to hire another company to help you in commercialization, which is what TechOp does, and there are other companies that do that too. But this company will basically jointly own your business case. They will engage with the customer. They will go out and do market research. They will find transition partners. They will help you build your commercialization strategy. They will do outreach and connect with potential customers for you and help you. So if you're proposing to an SBIR phase 1, look for this term, Taba. You'll see it in the broad agency announcement. And all you've got to do is ask for that Taba funding and you can receive it. Phil, there's some other things. I mean, in my briefing that I did for the state of Virginia that was 3 hours long, I covered a lot of stuff that I could not cover here. But like I said, if there are questions, please have people reach out to you. Here's on our website or the free webinars that we have. And here's my contact information. So thank you.
Okay. Oh, Randy, thanks so much. Extremely informative. And I think we gave everyone a heads up. This is a lot of content to cover in an hour. Krista, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 questions. We can try to trigger those, but as we trigger those questions to the entire group, please reach out to Krista for a follow-on opportunity to meet with Ron and Randy, 3 of us. And Krista, I'm sure you'll be organizing that. Were there a couple of questions, Krista, that we could try to address right now?
Yeah, so let me go to the Q&A here. Let's see. We've got one from Abdul. Randy mentioned about 6 to 8 weeks workshop for startups. Where can we get more details, dates offered, cost, fees, things like that?
And I think Ron was going to answer that.
Yeah, so what Phil was referring to there is an ongoing effort that we have with the staff at First Flight. Given our time limitations here today, we could only get to the highest tip of an iceberg. And so the intent will be for us to have a follow-on workshop, dates to be determined, stand by, the content and agenda for it to be determined as well. But we certainly need more time to explain some of our terminologies and strategies. So we will get to that.
Very good. I think we have 3 minutes or 2 minutes.
3 minutes.
Okay, Krista, was there another question? We'll let Randy handle this
I think
one.
that's it. That's the only question I saw in the Q&A box there.
I have maybe I've got a question for Randy, I guess, in terms of next steps. My recollection is the SBIR process is active now. Is it too late for you to help someone, or is it timely for you to help someone with an SBIR over a 30-day period?
It is right at the cusp of being too late. We do have some people that we've worked with, and if we feel like they're really on the road within 4 weeks, we can help them. But one thing I would suggest, Phil, for the next, well, first of all, I would suggest here's an opportunity to get some free consulting. Take the key words, the core competencies that represent your company, and send them to me. I will do a search for in the past 2 DoD cycles to identify topics that should have been of interest to you. And you say, well, why would you do that? Because on those topics are topic authors' names and contact information. And when the cycle is over, you can still call those people and say, hey, I see you've issued topics in additive manufacturing, metal additive manufacturing. That's what we do. I would like to listen and learn some of your problems and let you be introduced to my company. Do you see? So this is something that we do for gratis. It takes no time because of the database we've built. So I offer that to anybody on the call. Please send us your core competency words and phrases, and we'll be more than happy to show you where you can go and build contacts and relationships that will help you in the future cycles.
Randy, thank you. If I may, I'll thank Randy and Ron, our panelists. You guys did a great job in a very short period of time. Thank you so very much. Let me pass it back to Krista. Krista, would you like to maybe wrap things up?
Yes. So again, I just want to thank you all. Phil, Ron, Randy, you guys are fantastic. There's obviously so much to learn, and your presentations and wisdom have definitely shed some important light on the funding opportunities with DoD. So thank you for that, spending time with us. And of course, during the 2021-2022 FAST program, we will be hosting additional webinars and workshops on this topic for our audience. So stay tuned for more. But again, thank you. This was a wonderful panel, and we so